What's going on, everybody? If you're seeing this page, that means the official Touring Rain Reloaded merch store is now available. To get access to the store, make sure you go ahead and click the store tab on my YouTube channel. From there, you will be able to see all the merch that is available. We have mugs, shirts, hoodies, joggers, and so much more to come. All original designs made by yours truly, Touring Rain Reloaded. Now go ahead and get your merch today, and you can feel nothing in style.
Two people were stabbed during the second night of Mexican Independence Day celebrations downtown.
The city had closed access to the Loop, but that didn't stop thousands from taking over the streets. WGN's Judy Wang reports.
Horns and music blaring. Hours of traffic gridlock for a second straight night.
It was crazy. Like it was more than an hour, because most times I get home like 45 minutes, something like that. But yeah, it was like an hour at least.
The city, citing public safety reasons, again limited access into the Loop. Thousands of revelers still managed to make their way in to continue Mexican Independence Day celebrations. Police report at least one incident of violence, a stabbing early Sunday. A 15-year-old boy was stabbed in the torso. A 19-year-old man was stabbed in the back after getting into a fight with a group of males in the 300 block of North State. Both victims were taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital in fair condition. Police took two people into custody following a scuffle near Randolph and Dearborn. Paramedics treated an officer for injuries to his arm and hand near Wacker and State. Fireworks made these tourists a bit nervous as they watched from their 9th floor hotel room.
I was glad I was in my room, but walking on the street, I was fine. So a lot of people having fun.
Amy Morales and her friends visiting from Mexico say they were a bit taken aback by the spectacle of it all.
It was sort of chaotic, yeah. I mean, it didn't make us look pretty, honestly.
All streets reopened at 3 a.m. CPD says it does not yet have a total for arrests made overnight. In the Loop, Judy Wang, WGN News.
All right, so y'all just heard that audio right there. And I have to give a shout out to Kid Gravity, because if I wasn't on a recent live stream that he did, I would have not learned about this story to bring this to you. Now, I'm all for everyone having their fun. Everyone's going to celebrate their culture. They're going to celebrate their heritage. They're going to celebrate no matter what. I have absolutely no problem with it. However, when it starts to dive into this, then that's when the problem eventually kicks in. But another reason why I'm making this video is because of also the location that it's occurring in. If y'all know, when they love to bring up Chicago, and who I'm talking about when I say they love to always dive into the realm of course, they're talking about black people. They don't have to say black. We know exactly what they mean when they say it. However, in this case, there was no black people involved. This was a Mexican Independence Heritage Day parade, or whatever it's entitled. And as y'all are seeing by the pictures, like I said, it looked like they're having a good time, but there was definitely an incident that did occur. And even after it was occurring, people still went on like nothing happened, and they just kept on going and going. And if I didn't hear about this out from Kid Gravity, again, I would not have known about this. For some of you, this may be the first time you're hearing about it, even if you live in the city of Chicago. And for some of you who maybe live in the surrounding area of Chicago, may never even heard about it either, because lamestream media is not pushing it out there. Now, let me take take y'all back a little bit. When Juneteenth was going on, and I was talking about Candace Owens and Vivek Ramaswamy and Charlie Kirk in that live stream. Candace Owens had all this vitriol for black people when it came to Juneteenth and was showing all this imagery and whatnot. Now, of course, y'all know what the issue going on with her channel. She can't get on and say what she's going to say about this. But I'm going to be honest, if she didn't have any issues going on with her channel, she probably wouldn't even talk about this, much like a lot of other people who have a lot of stuff to say when it comes to Chicago and how they like to relate it back to black people and criminality. Meanwhile, you had this incident that happened right here where multiple people were stabbed, and it literally involved people having to bring in law enforcement people getting arrested and a bunch of chaos ensued. But because it didn't involve black people, that's why you didn't hear about it. But they love to bring up all these phantom shootings that occur in Chicago like every other weekend. Especially don't let it be a holiday weekend, and that's when they really like to ramp it up. And then that's when they start to go into their usual spill. But then, of course, y'all have seen the videos that I've talked about recently involving Brandon Johnson and the criminality, as I like to call it, the new criminal class that's going on in Chicago right now. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that every last person in this video or in this audio that they're talking about are people who came over the border illegally. These look like people that probably have already been here before they started doing what they're doing right now. However, they fit into the category within that culture, within that realm, within that spectrum, albeit they may be Mexican. And you might have people that's coming from Venezuela or Brazil or anywhere in Latin America and not Mexico specifically. They're all going to be thrown into that bubble, into that pot with each other. And then when you think about the stuff that's going on in Chicago right now with those who are over here illegally, and then you think about what happened here, the level of criminality is almost parallel with each other, such as stabbing people with machetes. They love using that damn machete for some reason. That's like their weapon of choice. So you have this going on, but lamestream media is not talking about it. Like, I actually had to type in a few key words just to get it to the point where I couldn't even find it. Kid Gravity had to actually send me the link to in the back chat of the live stream that we were on, just so I could actually pull up the article where the video was that you heard from, and then pull that from YouTube and then put it out here. So like I said, the fact that we had to dig to find this says a lot. And Kid Gravity said, try to get this out as soon as possible because this story could probably go cold real fast. I'm gonna be honest with you. This story was probably cold the minute that it went out there, because the fact that we had to go on a damn near scavenger hunt to find this says a lot. Now, what I find to be even more interesting is that this same weekend in New York, there was an African American Day parade. And shout out to Sage, because he actually posted some videos up on his Instagram stories of the parade itself. And it was very mellow. There was no issues. People was out there having a good time. I even saw a couple of videos from people I went to college with who was out there at that same parade. It looked like a very mellow event. It looked like something that I would probably most likely attend. It was no issues, no problem. But I bet you if something popped off, they would have made sure it made the news and stayed in the news for as long as possible. This story right here that I'm talking to you about is one of those blink and you'll miss it type of stories. As a matter of fact, you could squint and you wouldn't miss it. You damn near needed a magnifying glass to find this story right here. That's how low key it is, even though of what occurred here. But because it didn't involve black people, even though it happened in Chicago, they don't want to talk about it. Like I told y'all, Chicago's about to gain a new criminal class, and it's not going to be black people. So if they want to continue talking about Chicago, they're going to be forced to have to talk about them. And if they stop talking about Chicago and the level of criminality is still there and it is them, then they basically told on themselves the whole time that they've been talking about Chicago and bringing up a criminal element that it was about black people. They just did it without saying the words black people. But we already know how this goes. We already know what this means when they do what it is that they do. We are not new to their rhetoric. And notice with this, they didn't have to go around and try to find who did it, or it's speculation. You know, usually whenever they try to bring up something about Chicago, they love to say, oh, it was like 10, 20, 30 shootings. A bunch of people got injured, but we can't find who did it. This one, they actually have a number of the people who got injured and the people who got arrested, and they even have ages. They possibly got names too. Now that's something that is something you can go on because it's actually based there. They have people who were arrested. They know who did it. They got ages and so on and so forth. And it happened, and you can see these pictures. This is from recent. It's a huge, massive crowd out there. That means whoever went out there with the intent to do this, whether they went with intent or not, that means that nobody was safe. That is a lot of people. Now, if they want to put something out there about saying, oh, in Chicago, this amount of people was injured or died, God forbid, I would believe it by looking at these pictures because there's so many damn people out there. But when they talk about when it comes to black people, it's like when you look at some of the pictures that they do put up, it's so scarce. It's like, where in the hell did you pull 30 people from by looking at this image, assuming that this is the quote unquote crime scene where this allegedly happened? Again, they are not slick. You just have to know how they work this thing. But I'm telling you right now, this is going to stay as low key as they possibly can make it. But then when the next big holiday comes around, well, they already did Labor Day. So my assumption is that the next time that they do something like this will be on quote unquote Columbus Day weekend. That's probably when another pop up is going to happen. And the big one for them is going to be Halloween. They really probably gonna ramp it up when Halloween rolls around. So just keep your eye on that. That's something I've actually talked about on my channel in the past. Look at those major holidays, even though we don't celebrate Columbus Day. Some celebrate Halloween, but it's not a major holiday. But look at those major holidays and the weekends that they fall on, such as MLK, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, 4th of July, definitely. Now they've thrown in Juneteenth, and so on and so forth. And watch what they put out there. I used to actually periodically check around those times to see what kind of write-ups and narratives that they would come up with when it came to that, and it always played out the same exact way as the story before it, and I knew it was going to play out the same way as the story after it. The only thing that changed was the day, the date, and the holiday, but everything else narrative-wise was the exact same.